instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past.
Guys, welcome back to Other Dangerous Podcast, where we talk all things paranormal. I'm Ken James, and this is Jason McKittrick.
Hey, folks.
And if it can haunt, howl, or dwell in the dark, we want to talk about it. So tonight, we are bringing you another Listener Stories episode.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these are from our contest that we did back in March, it was, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a lot of good ones. There could only have been one winner, but we wanted to make sure to get some of these stories out there because there was some great content in there, guys. A lot of jelly in those donuts. Mm-hmm. So before we get into that, since we're telling a bunch of stories tonight, we figured in keeping with last week of our what grinds our gears episode, and also it's another trailer I've seen. And I wanted to get into it. It's The Conjuring Part 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, firstly...
Is that really the title?
Yeah, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now,
that's fucking terrible.
Yeah, well, it's... Okay, so the Warrens... those movies are so superly over-exaggerated of how the stories went down, and they were so, pushed and manipulated by the Warrens to a point where it was like, even that first one, it's probably like the wife was just mad and like they were like, oh.
Yeah, any of those movies are as factual as Ghostbusters.
Yeah, well, at least Ghostbusters are awesome, but
true.
So, God, in these trailers, like it's so over dramatized to the story, and like, look, man, like. That's not how it really happens, the paranormal stuff. The coolest part about it is, like we said last week, is like the mystery, the stuff that you can't quantify. Mm-hmm. And like these movies, they just like immediately put this like emphasis on all this bullshit. And there's like monsters and everything's demons and like
everything's demons.
Yeah, everything's demons. Like the wind blows. It's like it's a demonic chill in the air. And the kids are like, "Mommy's trying to kill me," and then the sequel, there's like some giant, like gangly, the
guy with the red. Yeah, I was like, "This is." Yeah, I checked out. I was like, "No." Look, a scary nun.
yeah. It's that's the name of a demon. That it's like, fuck you, man. Like I just, and
then you can't get away from the fact that it's all based on those two frauds anyway. The Warrens are frauds. I don't want to get any emails. I mean, you can email if you want to, but they're frauds. They've been shown to be frauds. There's no argument here. I mean, at best, they were just having fun with ghost stories, and at worst, they were trying to
make
get some money out of people.
Yeah,
and I think it leans a little towards the latter.
And they surely did make money off of people. I just wanted to bring that up too as a preface, just to fucking trash the cinema of the paranormal that's out there and what it kind of does to the actual study of it and the actual people wanting to dig into it. It gets blown out of proportion to like it's this forced evidence or always forcing fake bullshit and these movies don't help. They're entertaining and it's just sad that people believe
it's what it is, and then just everything just gets watered down as time goes on, and then it's just like, because one of my favorites, from back in the day, was Poltergeist. And there's ghost hunters in that movie, and they're not too they're not out there, with their Brooklyn blowouts or whatever, looking for ghosts in tight black t-shirts. Love you, Zach, but that kind of kept it to its roots a little bit. I mean, it goes out of control and there's monsters and skeletons and tree monsters, whatever. But at least they didn't, start off at whatever you said, the gangly man, whatever the fuck that thing's called.
Or they didn't go based on a true story. It's like, Here's some entertainment for you.
Yeah, and that first one just that one killed me for many reasons. I mean, I knew we were in trouble when the dude from Office Space shows up. He's got like a family of like 8, right? And he's like, I got dinner and it's one pizza. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? One pizza for 8 people? I was like, this movie's shot, and it was.
He's like, I just eat the pepperoni. That's my dinner. That's all.
Right. I mean, but come on now.
Come on now.
Come on.
But I figured that was a good thing to lead into this because the a good ghost story, a good paranormal story, it's usually just someone's account of what happened. They don't have like a full I can't tell you exactly what happened, and taking those kind of stories and over dramatizing them and doing all this, it kind of just takes away from the good old campfirey, I smell the burning leaves kind of shit, that I love.
Right. And also with a movie, there's the tendency or just the need for, it to be wrapped up in a neat little bow at the end. It's like, oh, what was the conclusion? Well, there is no conclusion. Well, that doesn't work for a movie. It's like, all right, well, then put a guy in with a red top hat and then there's an evil nun. Yeah. Okay, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and someone's life gets saved in the nick of time, and then they kiss and roll credits.
Roll credits.
But yeah,
so credits on James Wan.
Hey man, Aquaman kicked ass. But
sure did.
I knew it's coming. But I just wanted to bring that into that opening there because these are actual good stories. These are actual people's accounts. These are it's like the mysteries there, mystiques there, and just the overall, substance and these people experience something. They're not trying to, tell you exactly what it is. They don't know exactly what it is. And it's just their account, take it or leave it. It's a good old fashioned spooky story.
Yep. They're coming through on all levels.
I'm coming through.
Yeah. And him too.
All right. So I guess I'll be starting it off this week, guys. This one comes from Mike G. Now, Mike G writes, hello, love your show. A toy maker I follow on IG shared something about an episode, so I checked it out.
That's
I've had Yeah, that's right. Shout out to
the
Ryan.
Ghost of Ryan hovers over this show.
Oh man, I love it. But okay, so hello, love your show. A toy maker I follow on IG shared something about an episode, so I checked it out. I've had a fascination with the supernatural, cryptids, and the like for as long as I can remember. It's influenced my efforts as an aspiring toy maker and as a professional tattooer. I thought I'd share with you, like-minded gentlemen, a personal account of a late night / early morning in the summer of 1999. What a year it was. I grew up in Canton, Ohio, a small urban area about 70,000. By no means a massive metro center, but far from rural. I spent a lot of weekends, spring breaks, and summer vacationing at my grandparents' house. However, they lived in Marlborough Township, very rural. Their house was about 200 yards off the road, which was gravel until the mid-2000s. Their property was just over 100 acres of mostly woodland that shared property line with large farms on either side and state-owned forest behind. Only about 5 acres of their property was developed. A well-kept field, a large garden, and a pond about 10 yards off the back porch. It was really a calm, peaceful place, a stark contradiction to my own neighborhood. I have thousands of fond memories of time spent in that house and in the woods. However, the memory that perforates through all of those is that which I think you'd be interested in. Here we go. I was 13 in the summer of 1999. Unbeknownst to me, spending my last night at my grandparents'. Late July in Northeast Ohio means high heat and high humidity. My grandparents didn't have air conditioning at the time, so waking up in the night, damp and sweaty and thirsty, was nothing unusual. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I peeled the sheets back and stood up from the guest bed to go downstairs and get a drink of water. I became almost immediately aware of the intense silence in the house. My grandparents would have been asleep for hours by now, but something was missing. It was the frogs in the pond. They were completely silent. No croaks, no booms. I thought as I descended the stairs. I crossed the foyer in front of the back door and rounded towards the kitchen. From the corner of my eye, I saw the picture window in the living room to my left. There was a huge picture window, and it looked out over the back porch, pond, and the tree line. On the side of the garage, motion light had been activated, casting a small amount of light down the back of the house, and as a result, partially illuminating the porch. It was at this exact moment that my perception of the place would be forever altered. At first I noticed was the light from the garage. Mid-stride, I turned to look at the window as I passed the archway that joined the foyer and the living room where the window was. That's when I saw it. My blood ran cold. I was frozen, incapable of moving. When a lion or hyena catches a small animal, it'll often begin eating while the animal is still alive. Adrenaline, other hormones, and endorphins flood the prey animal's body, making it impossible for the animal to flee. This is referred to as a capture myopathy. Within even touching me, this thing in the window had shot a rush of chemicals to my extremities, rendering them useless. I stared helplessly. Standing on the porch was a dark figure. I couldn't tell you its exact height as it was hunched over, but I would guess it was around 5'10" to 6 feet tall. Its hands were cupped against its face, pressed to the window in an attempt to get a better look inside the house.
Ugh.
Yeah. I was at an angle that would have been difficult to see with the light to its back and the dark house, but I had an overwhelming sense that it knew I was there. My mind raced. I told myself that it was a neighbor that needed assistance, but it hadn't knocked. It hadn't made any noise at all. I thought maybe it was someone trying to decide if it's worth breaking in. I had all but convinced myself that it was a would-be thief that I hadn't seen, and that it was imperative that I yell to alert my grandfather. I mustered up my strength to yell for all I could. I clenched my fists, but just as I inhaled, the thing in the window moved, its hand, palm down, fingers parted flat against the window. My shout caught in my throat. It dissolved into a dry, painful gasp. Its hands and fingers, if you could even call them that, were long and thin, terribly long. One of the fingers moved, keeping the tip pressed to the glass. It arched and bent as if there were twice as many joints than there should have been, sliding a nail towards the palm. I tried to yell again, but I was only able to get a high, stuttering squeak from my dry throat. I must have heard, just as after it quickly turned its head to stick its ear to the glass. In doing so, its silhouette and its profile, it had a protruding muzzle, much like a dog's, but nothing was right about any of it. It looked gaunt otherwise. It was at this point that I regained some control over my body. I slouched behind my chair, out of sight in the window and any others that matter. I distinctly remember hearing movement outside the house and thought, I can't be 100%, but I recall a faint sound of the doorknob being turned softly, as if it was checking to see if it was locked. Then nothing. I sat there until morning. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I just sat. I told my grandparents about it, and they dismissed it as a product of my imagination. Haven't told many people since. Though I love cryptids, my belief in the paranormal pretty much starts and ends with ghosts, which makes that experience all the harder to process. I never spent the night there again. After my grandfather's death in 2017, my grandmother sold the property and moved. It was something that I never forgot, even if I would like to. I don't know if you have any insights, but I hope you find it interesting. Can't wait to check out the next episode. Cheers, Mike G.
Ooh. That's something.
It's heavy, Doc. I remember reading that, and I was like, I said to you immediately, I was like, dude, the oh my God. Like,
yeah, because immediately, like, as soon as I hear that, and not to play it down at all, but like the description literally sounds like the werewolf from Harry Potter. Because that's a weird looking werewolf. Yeah, like it's long and it's like gangly. Yeah. It's not that furry. It's got long fingernails and it has the snout. And then then your analytical brain goes, well, what the fuck? What was that? What could that have been? Yeah. So it's like, all right, so you start going down the list, right? So like, okay, so Dogman, right?
Yeah.
Werewolf. We're too far north and too far northeast for a skinwalker, because that's really only like the Navajo tribes.
Yeah.
What is it? This is Ohio, right?
Yeah, Ohio.
I think that's like the Shawnee and I can't remember them all, but like I don't think they have any traditions of that. So this is that's some scary shit, because it's like something dark, something came out of the dark that like represents some kind of like primal, like natural force that we can't like even like, it came out, comes out to remind us that like, yeah, humans are small.
I mean, and like a hell of a telling of it, very descriptive, very like it puts you in that paralyzing state of when you are that terrified. And my picturing of it too, like you said, you pictured as like kind of like the Harry Potter werewolf. Like me, I'm just getting like that classic, like there's like a cloak over it, and it's got like, the Holocaust cloak, and it's like, some gangly, like, oh man, and they just,
I mean, he didn't say cloak, so I mean, because he saw the outline of it, so
it's
like,
just where my mind
I
went.
hear you. I mean, and then then you can go down the other route. Could it have been an alien?
Oh God, the scariest fucking shit, man. Like,
no, but you looking out and like that's literally like I think we discussed it on one of the episodes. That's my worst nightmare. Is like looking at my window and there's something looking in the window at me.
Yep.
Fuck that.
Yep. And
this is something with a snout, so snout means lots of teeth.
Yeah, and also the fingers, like he said, had more joints than it should have allowed.
Yeah, so that's like, I mean, that could be so many different things. I mean, my brain goes to like, what animal could that be, right? I mean, who knows, man? Because how many people have weird, like exotic animals, in captivity, right? So I'm just going for right here. I'm going for like, what's the logical explanation? So I go first to, what if somebody had some kind of like, I don't know, like a baboon, like, and like it got out because they have a long snout, and they have weird long fingers, or it's just some kind of nightmare creature that crawled out of some like subterranean like realm we don't even know about.
Or like maybe some kind of coyote or hyena, like something like perched up on the window, so it's like but
no fingers though.
I'm just trying to be pragmatic about it, man. I don't know.
I mean it's a head scratcher, but it's great. I mean, I love this. I love these kind of stories where just something just comes out of the dark and kind of just reminds you that like, hey, there's still fun things out here. Good night.
And then, is your door locked? Little.
I hope so.
Oh my God. All right, but dude, Mike G, awesome story, bro. Thank you for being a listener.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so next up we have our next submission from, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, I believe her name is Mari, and maybe it's Mary, but I'm gonna go with Mari because I think that's how they say it. So Mari says, for your consideration, here is my paranormal experience. I grew up in Canada in a few low-income neighborhoods. In my teens, the last home I lived in, it was a little unassuming duplex built in the late 1960s. Judging from the graffiti in the unfinished basement, it was at least inhabited in the 70s. Some of it was dated. It was a shithole of a home and an even bigger shithole of a neighborhood. Though as of writing this, is going through gentrification, as they all do.
Yeah.
Philly. The last thing people in these areas are fearful of is the paranormal, as realty here tends to be far more immediately dangerous and scary. Anyway, her words, not mine. There were a limited amount of bedrooms to cover the amount of people in the household, so I took up sleeping in the unfinished basement. The silver lining was that it was exclusively my space and mine alone. However, there were things about it that rubbed the entire household the wrong way. Just something off about the basement. Last episode.
Yeah.
The biggest thing was the several locks on the exterior of the door to the basement and the dents that riddled it, like it was constantly and repeatedly kicked. Most duplexes, the basement becomes a unit, cram as many people in a house. Yeah, right. However, it never became that. There wasn't anything to indicate the plan for it either. It wasn't fixed with water. It had no area that could feasibly become a kind of kitchen or a bathroom or anything. It was just a regular old basement, but split with framing that the landlord closed off one area with simple drywall and a door, and that's it. That was my quote-unquote bedroom. Plastic tarp covered insulation ceiling and all. I went about my life thinking nothing else if crappy was this house. Until one night, I was just drifting off to sleep. The only light was the dim blue glow of my alarm clock. The rest was pitch black, it's a basement, when I heard large, heavy steps coming down the stairs. Like someone wearing work boots and dragging their feet. I didn't immediately think anything about this until I could faintly hear breathing and I didn't recognize who it could be. No one in the household breathed like this. It sounded harsh and deep. Then I heard the door to my room slowly open and this quote unquote person take a few steps in and just continued to breathe heavily in place. I felt as though they were staring at me, but could not see a single shape in the room. I felt intense anger, but in a strange mix of petrified fear, could not move or make a sound. I felt fully awake at this point, and the anger just grew and grew, and yet I could not react, but to try very hard to see in the dark. It felt like several minutes passed this way, and then I heard steps going away and the door gently closing, but no steps going back up the stairs. I can't remember much else as I just fell asleep. I don't know how or why I did. I barely remember dozing off. The next morning, as everyone gathered for breakfast, I brought up the incident and started throwing my accusations. Everyone justly responded with confusion and anger in turn. There was nothing in their responses that ever slightly indicated to me it was one of them. The more I thought about it and the details, the more I felt unsure and uneased. The house being so old, every panel of flooring creaked and groaned with every footstep, no matter how lightly you tried to walk. And being in the basement with such thin barriers, I could even hear the small cats we had walk across the floor upstairs. And I heard nothing precipitating someone with a heavy and unique gait descending the steps to the basement. No walking to the basement entry, not a single creak, no other sound. The poor quality and thinness of the walls and floors with which the house was constructed was the worst at the best of times. Being able to hear whole conversations from the adjacent house, and holes being very easy to make at the worst of times. All these things made it hard to rationalize that maybe it wasn't just someone pulling my leg, and after all these years, no one has ever admitted to a single thing. Well, that's my true story. It's maybe not so definable as a paranormal event, not to mention that there's still tons and tons of doubt in my head about it, and I'm the kind of person who will rationalize till the day I die, LOL. But I hope you at least enjoyed it. Salutations.
Yeah, man. Those are the ones like even her, like that's what makes it good, is that like she even still kind of doubts it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so first off, these are one of those situations, right? It's like, all right, you put yourself in her situation. Now, she was younger, she's a girl, maybe she's like thinking first, all right, somebody broke in the house. So you're going to be like, fuck. So maybe you just stay still and be like, okay, so maybe we'll just move on. Or maybe they've been casing the house and they know that I'm in here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the real world, kind of thing. But then, like she says, like you would have heard somebody coming down, you would have heard someone approaching the steps. Mm-hmm. So she didn't hear any of that. So, it's a ghost. What's with the heavy breathing ghosts?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. What are y'all, emphysemic?
Yeah, but I mean, it's
you know what the famous last words are until one night, until one night,
Yeah, that or what's that one ghost show? I think it's called like The Haunted or whatever. And like there was always the segment where like, oh, everything's great. Here's the house we moved in. We're just trying to start over. Here's the new house. We're just trying to start over. And then the guy comes and he's like, that night,
that night, things would change.
All hell broke loose.
That night, Maury was in for the fright of her life.
Right. Cool. No, I love these stories, and this is also somewhat parallels with the story I told on one of our early episodes, where the basement of my aunt's house with the raspy breathing. And the it's just basements, man. It's what it is, It's basements are always
the fun stuff.
The fun stuff. No, I dig this story, and I think that it's very indicative of a lot of places like this. And I also want to say that, like, I think basements, I was thinking about this last time that we talked, and I don't think we brought it up, but basements, can go along with that whole stone tape theory, right? Because it's always subterranean. A lot of basements have a lot of stone in the construction, whether it's concrete or not. Sometimes there's flagstone behind it. And, if you subscribe to that, stone can, either hold or play back or do something with this paranormal energy, maybe there is something to that.
I was watching Ghost Adventures when I got home from work earlier when I was cleaning up and stuff. And I had a random thought, which bringing that up, the stone tape theory, like maybe a big reason that, like, you know, most ghosts are seen in that residual sense of like period clothing and all those different things. Maybe that's because of the materials that were used then, you know, because we're slowly but surely moving away from using those kind of, you know, materials to build like certain woods and certain stones, and, you know, it's all kind of going to, you know, composites.
Made from like cardboard now, right?
Yeah, it's all plastic.
Styrofoam and cardboard.
Styrofoam, cardboard, plastic, you know, bungee cord.
And some Elmer's glue. You're set.
You know, they put some gorilla tape on it, and they're like, she'll hold.
Yeah, she'll hold.
But yeah, that was a weird thought I had earlier about that, and I was like, huh.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I mean, there could be something to that, and I speaking of older, well, I'll save this for another episode, but there's a neighborhood close to here that I got to take you next time you come here.
Okay.
It's called Island Heights. It's a borough of my town, and it's where all the rich people lived in the 1800s. It's all these huge Victorian mansions.
Oh,
you're gonna love it. So next time I come down, we're gonna check it out. And
beautiful.
And there's tons of ghost stories. Like there's like the whole front street is all like old captains' houses and stuff, like sea captains.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
That's my shit.
Yep. Yeah, right on the bay too. So you watch the fog roll in. Pirate ghosts are killing people. Wait, that's a movie. Oh wait, no, that's the fog. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say for a second. But all right, let's move on to the next one. This one comes from Aaron. All right. Aaron. Aaron, you done fucked up, babe. But all right, so this story takes place about 15 years ago at my very old family farmhouse in rural Missouri, we'll say, out in the middle of the woods. Shortly after getting married, I moved my family into an old homestead, and we started the remodel job. One night around 8 in the evening, we noticed a sort of droning, whirling sound, and it was outside. We head outside to see what's going on. You can't really tell where the noise is coming from. It's loud, but not crazy loud. One of our outside dogs starts barking frantically and looking up in the trees, up at the front of the roof, etc. It jumps up on the outdoor bench, just barking like mad and looking from the trees to the roof and back and forth. Well, we get sort of spooked and go back inside. The noise and the dog barking continues till 1 a.m. when it just suddenly stops and the dog's barking stops. The next night around 7, a sort of ominous feeling drops over the house. Can't really pinpoint the reason. Then at 8, the whirling, droning noise picks up again, and the dog starts frantically barking, and it's back up on the bench again. The feeling sort of dread and uneasiness intensifies and continues. Then at 1 a.m., on the dot, it stops, and the feeling instantly lifts and feels like it's all fine again. The noise was a low droning noise, that type of really gets under your skin after a while and makes you think you're going to go mad if it doesn't stop. It was omnidirectional. With it brought the hard feeling of dread and unease and worry. Well, this continues night after night for 2 months. The noise, the strange dark feeling, and the dog going nuts. So much I would pull out a shotgun and have it on my lap just in case for whatever reason. We would make sure all the doors and windows were locked and the shades were drawn. It was becoming maddening. We were all scared and angry and concerned. The 2 inside dogs got the point when the noise started, they would go hide and curl up with their tails in between their legs. And if you're dog owners, that's scary to see if nothing's going on and that happens. Like, you're like, all right, these guys are supposed to be protecting me.
Demons.
They would not for anything enter the kitchen, where the door to the outside was. To the length of one night, I pushed one of the dogs into the kitchen. It instantly peed all over the floor and took off running back into the other room whimpering. Oh, sir. So I mentioned earlier, we're remodeling some of the kitchen. My brother-in-law was doing the work, but he typically would leave before dark to head home and have a long drive. By this time, we were in the middle of the month 3 of this ordeal from hell. Still every night at 8 till 1, the noise and the barking and the hard feelings. One night, the wife and my aunt decided to go outside with a spotlight and a camera to see if they could see anything. This sent me into a frantic, protective panic mode. I did not want them out to the point where I would get mad over it. Well, they ended up outside anyway, with me holding the shotgun. We never saw anything that night, but I kept having the feeling something was watching me, with the hair on the back of my neck standing on end. So now it's late October, yes, and one night, The brother-in-law works till about 7:30 before he leaves. He leaves about 20 minutes later, calls the house, and it sounds like he's crying and freaking out. We're like, oh my God, did he have a wreck or something? Well, once he calms down enough to talk, he proceeds to tell us this story. After he left our house, he was driving down a very wooded driveway that is about 3 miles long. About the midway point, he sees something standing in the middle of the road in its headlights. Well, no one should be standing in the driveway at the time of night in the middle of the woods. So he parks, gets out of his vehicle with the flashlight to look and see what's up. As he gets closer to what he describes, that still makes my skin crawl. He said it was very thin humanoid-like figure, around 6.5 feet tall. Long arms, bulbous head with large black eyes. No clothing, no hair, and sort of a green grayish skin. At first he's like, what is someone in a Halloween costume or something being dumb? But it turns to him and it blinks. He freaks out and turns to run back to his car. When he does, he hears 2 other figures in the woods running away super fast. He looks back just in time to see the figures sneak off into the woods faster than humanly possible. He makes it back to his car and takes off. Now, mind you, this is a very straight-laced sort of guy. Never has drank or done drugs or any kind of the sort. He's so freaked out that he'd pull over and call us. He's almost hyperventilating and crying. So we freak out, and I'm sitting there with my shotgun, not knowing what to do. But 1 a.m., the noise stops, and the feeling goes away again. By the end of the month, I feel like I'm losing my mind. The next day, after one night, we can't find the outside dog anymore. It's totally missing. No blood, no anything. It's just gone, and we never saw it again. Then 2 weeks later, it all ended. No more noises, no more bad feelings, nothing. And it's never happened again since. Can't explain how ecstatic I am for to be over with the ordeal and move on with my life. Well, hope this long story finds to be interesting. I had goosebumps typing it out and chills just thinking about it. Anytime I tell the story, that happens. Thanks, Aaron.
Directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, dude. Oh man.
I actually have a take on this.
Okay.
I actually have a take on this. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it back to our Dyatlov Pass episode. Remember we were talking about infrasound?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just say that this sound comes from something industrial or some close by something, right? Or maybe just the wind banking off of something. Right. And it just happens to have, and if it has that time aspect, maybe it had something to do with, I don't know, some kind of close by something mechanical, right? So if you're getting infrasound, remember all the side effects from infrasound, and they've proven this, a feeling of uneasiness, dogs go berserk, and you can also have hallucinations. Now, I'm not going to say that explains all of this, but I like to just come at stuff like, okay, first, let's say, what could it be? Maybe, right? Boom. All right. That's logical. And then my other side says there's a fucking alien running around the goddamn woods looking for someone to take. Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal too. I mean, this is rural Missouri. You know, this is a homestead. You know, this is.
Oh, yeah. This is 3 mile long fucking driveway.
Yeah,
Holy
I mean,
shit, that's
what
awesome.
Industrial besides like, you know, I know,
I'm just
deforestation. I know, but that's where I'm going too, because I was thinking that too, because see, the time frame is what would make it seem like something like that, you know, something industrial or some kind of construction.
That's terrifying. And then, you know, like, you know, some kind of reptilian alien or something, or, you know, it could have been our boys that were out there.
Zip Zap and Glebe Glorp?
They could have been out there, man.
Yeah, they're like, fuck, they saw us, you know.
Grab the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And then you get that one ending to Silent Hill where the dog was behind it all.
Yeah. Jacob, get on an alien dog. Get on an alien dog.
Oh God. Yeah. It's straight up, these are those kind of stories that I love, because it's like that feeling of dread that like you just go somewhere and it's like, what the fuck is going on? You don't know what to do. You're sitting there, you're like, dude, I'm going nuts. You don't know what's going on. Like I need my gun. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck is that? Is that like your lizard brain like kicking in saying like, something's wrong, man? And you know, this is like, you know, impulses from 10,000 years ago that we don't really use too much anymore, telling us to like, dude, fight or flight. The dog is, you know, flipping the fuck out. And that's true, man. I mean, I don't have dogs, but I've had dogs. When dogs freak out like that, you get scared. You're like, what's going on? Because you don't see anything. Your senses aren't picking anything up. right?
Yeah, like my dog Bruce, like he is the sweetest dog in the world, right? But if he senses something that's threatening to like Brittany or me, he becomes, super like no, like get the fuck away. And he doesn't show his teeth to anything, but he'll do it when he thinks something's about to go down. And for any dog to pee itself and take off, there's some kind of apex predator lurking or something, man. It's terrifying. And then the road with the beings out there, it's got shades of fire in the sky. It's like,
dude, it's fire in the sky. It's signs. Like next, I was going to say, like, did your brother also put like glasses of water everywhere? and like, but also to speak to his brother again, about his brother again, gets out of the car with a flashlight, balls of steel.
Yeah. This guy's, when he got out, he had to get the wheelbarrow out of the back first to load his balls to go search.
Yeah, because he actually had like one of those mining helmets. The flashlight was up there because he was busy pushing the fucking wheelbarrow with his balls in it. Oh my God. That guy should get metal.
Dude. Yeah.
And then he sees the aliens and then he rightly gets the fuck out of there. So
yeah, he makes a call first. But you know what? That's too, like, you're like, I just in case someone, something happens to me, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Tell the world.
But then also, like, I love the human quality of all this. Like, he calls him and he's like, dude, I just like hysterical. Like, think about that. You're going about your daily day, everything's fine. and you see that shatters your whole like perception of everything.
And he's a straight-laced guy, doesn't drink, never did drugs, nothing like that. He's just like, I'm here to work, to go home, blah, blah, blah. And
now he's Charlie Day in a room with the red strings going to everything, just pointing out all the connections. The shapeshifters and the fucking...
Until one night, one night.
Right.
And then his world would change forever.
That night. I forget the name of that show, but
the picture gets polarized.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man. Great. Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Great story, Aaron.
You don't.
I don't. Is the next story by Balake? No. His name's Mike. Yeah. You want to go to war, Balake? Okay. So our next story comes to us from Mike D. Mike says, "Okay, when I was 15 years old, my parents let my 13-year-old brother and I stay at home while they went on an overnight trip. We had stayed alone overnight before, so it was no big deal to us. We basically had a normal night, ordered pizza, watched a baseball game, and went to bed around midnight. It was around 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep, and I had to go to the bathroom, downstairs from our bedroom. My brother's bed was further from the door than mine was. He needed to go around my bed and out the door to leave the room. All I had to do was go out the door by my bed, go into the hallway, and down the stairs. As I was leaving our bedroom, entering the hallway in the dark, I bumped into who I thought was my brother in the hallway. I literally grabbed his arms in the dark and said something like, 'Oh, I'm sorry.' Then I hear, 'What did you say?' from back in the bedroom when I had literally just touched someone. Naturally, I screamed and got to the hallway light only to find nobody in the hallway. And my brother was tucked away in bed. And he was totally freaked out by my scream. Now, we had an alarm system, and the alarm was on at the time, so no one could have entered or exited without tripping the alarm. We immediately panicked and called our next door neighbor's father. He came over with a shotgun and literally searched the entire house, including the basement, fucking basements. Yep. Turned on every light and found nothing. He then called the police, and they came in about 10 minutes and searched the entire house and also found nothing. In fact, I didn't find any evidence of a forced entry or exit of any kind. We stayed alone several times after this experience, but nothing ever happened again. This is my story. Hopefully it qualifies. Thanks much, Mike.
Mike. Oh, God.
All right, now we're back to little kid ghosts or whatever he touched.
Yeah, when you bump a person,
Oh yeah.
That's at a wall. That's at a shelf. It's not like.
No, it's a person. So he probably felt clothing.
Hey, my bad.
See, I would want to know, Mike, if you're listening, is the house old? Is it an older home? Like, were you guys the first occupants there? I'm just curious. I would want to know that. Yeah.
And another takeaway for me with the last two stories, it's like, get a shotgun, have a shotgun. Because thank God for the neighbor, Well, for this, you call the neighbor, the neighbor's dad comes over with,
I want like for this kind of thing, I want like Hellboy's gun. You got like the white oak shavings and the holy water and the saint's finger bone in there. Yeah. Just to cover all your bases.
Yeah, garlic, holy water pellet, like all that kind of stuff, man.
Just a whole John Constantine kind of situation.
Yeah. And that'd be great if his neighbor was John Constantine, you know? Yeah. And he comes over and he's like, go to hell.
Right. He pulls out his brass knuckles with the crucifixes on them.
And then Robert Stack shows up too, and he's downstairs just like, it's not a fight without Robert.
Exactly.
No one no one fights ghosts in this town without letting Robert know.
Exactly. But here, more to the point, because now this is like this, I think we bring up Keanu quite a bit. John Wick versus John Constantine.
Ooh.
You know what? I think we can hash it out here, but I think we should put this to the we should maybe do a little Instagram kind of like
vote on the story vote.
Yeah. John Wick versus John Constantine. I don't mean the comic book John Constantine. I know he's a completely different character. He's a British guy. No, we're talking about the movie guy.
Yeah.
Talk about these two guys. They both have pros and cons in this fight. Mm-hmm. And one has lung cancer.
Yeah, I was gonna say one's a heavy smoker, doesn't have the stamina, but he's
he could be John Constantine. All right, well, let's say this. Here's the parameters. John Wick, top of his game. John Constantine, after Lucifer removes this cancer from his lungs.
After seeing,
We'll live.
Dude, that actor, man.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite portrayal of the devil. That's my favorite in cinema. I love him
doing his fucking the tongue shit that he does. Like
Peter Stormare, that
8mm and shit. Like, oh man,
or 88. Have the spear of destiny. He's so good.
Oh John, you're like, John. Dude. Last month I just watched that movie again.
Oh, I know it's not comic accurate. It gets a lot of shit, but as a movie, just a standalone, I really like that movie.
And my favorite part of that is that Gavin Rossdale gets the fucking shit punched out of him.
Yeah, because fuck that guy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Yep. Bush, sorry. Sorry,
and then fucking I never know how to pronounce his name, but it's like Jimon Hansu, the African American guy that's in
Papa Midnight.
Yeah, Papa Midnight. He's also in Gladiator. That guy.
When he grabs him, I totally fucks. When he grabs him by the ribs, and he's like, not in my house.
Yeah, he's that guy's awesome in that movie. What a movie! This turned into the Constantine cast.
Hey, even Shia, early shades of Shia LaBeouf in that bitch, man.
He's a piece of shit now too.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. One thing I forgot about is the after credit sequence in that movie.
Right.
When Shia comes back as the angel, you're like, oh, all right.
Oh, that doesn't work, but okay.
Yeah, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
That was LaBeouf's agent, just like, hey, man, come on.
Come on, the kid's going to be in Transformers. Give him a little extra scene. They're like, all right, fine.
Yeah. All right, in case we get a sequel, we'll be back.
All right.
Yeah.
Actually, they're working on one now, allegedly. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens.
Dude, they fucking better, because apparently it's going to lead into the what is it? The Dark Justice League, is it? Or Justice League Dark?
Yeah, they really need to not go that direction.
Yeah.
Because he's not that John Constantine. And like, if you have Constantine, his first appearance was in Swamp Thing, something I know quite a bit about. And if we're gonna, please let's not go down this road.
Yeah, we do it.
We do this podcast.
We do it all the time. We always hit the comic book shit, man.
We got to Swamp Thing, and that's just
that's a whole rabbit hole. That's all right.
So it's my favorite DC comic book character, and it's just okay. So we'll put it on Instagram. We'll put it up maybe this week. I guess we'll probably publish this weekend, and I'll put up on the Instagram. John Constantine film version versus John Wick. What do we want to say? Film 1, John Wick, or film 2 since he's like primed?
We'll say 2 because he's first one he's just back. I'm thinking I'm back. Part 2. Yeah.
Although part 1 he does. Let's say midway part 1. All right, John Constantine prime and John Wick prime. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Both Keanu though.
Talk about someone who fucks. I mean, there's your man right there, boys.
Yeah.
And girls.
And girls.
All right, so for my last, talk about a segue, man.
Jeez, these aren't segues, man. These are like these are.
It's bound to happen with me and you. You can't have me and you sitting here without it. Fucking...
At least it's adjacent to the material. At least it's paranormal and it's
fantasy.
And I think anyone who's listening to this is at least listening and at least knows what we're talking about. And if
And by now, if they're, a listener, they're familiar with our tangents. And hey, man, that's half the fun,
Yeah. This is when they still have it on, but they stop paying attention.
They're like, all right, let me get another drink real quick.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
These two dicks nerd out for a bit.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah. So for my last story of the evening. All right. All right. This next story comes to us from JD. JD writes, "Hi, Jason. Hi, Ken. First off, let me just start by saying I've been a big fan of your podcast and I've been listening since episode 1.
Wow.
Jason, I've been a customer of yours on Etsy, and I am totally pumped for the 2021 OTV announcement. That's Quarter the Thin Veil, Jason's.
Oh, thank you, sir. It came and went, but I'm sure he signed up. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Awesome. And okay, so I've been meaning to getting around to submitting my entry for months now, but the contest you guys are having on IG encouraged me to take part. So I'm a police officer in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Boom. Another Canadian tonight.
Wow,
all right.
yeah.
Shout out to Canada.
Canucks.
Yeah. Ow. All right. So it would be great if you guys decided to use my story on your podcast. Here's my story. In August of 2015, myself and another officer were dispatched to attend an open signal, otherwise known as an alarm, at the Griffin House, located on Mineral Springs Road in Dundas, Ontario. I've been to that area before, personally, to do a ghost walk at the Heritage Ruins, which is nearby. I've always had an interest in the paranormal, but I'm what you would call a hardcore skeptic. On this occasion, however, I had no intention of looking or seeing a ghost. When I arrived at the location, it was around sunset, roughly 7 p.m. in the summer. There was no one around and no cars in the area. Shortly after, my partner arrived and we went to further investigate. The Griffin House is an old wooden house on a historical site and it has been kept in good condition by our local conservation authority. My partner and I discovered that one of the small window panes was missing from a window on the first level of the house. The first floor of the house is raised about 4 feet from the foundation and the bottom part of the window was roughly 6 feet from the ground. The pane of glass was laying on the ground about 4 feet away from the window, which was odd because if it just fell out of the window, it should have landed closer to the foundation of the house. It was almost as if it was forcefully pushed out from the pane from inside of the house. We couldn't get into the house to check to see if anyone was inside until an employee brought a key. While we were waiting, I was standing approximately 10 feet away from the back of the house. I was talking to my partner, who had her back to the house, about a random nonsense. While I was talking to her, I could clearly see the entire window and through the house to the other window on the other side because there was no curtains. There was still evening light outside, so I could clearly see the trees on the opposite side of the house. A few minutes passed, and then it happened. Without a doubt, I saw the silhouette of a person walk from the left side of the window past the right. There was no sound of footsteps, but it was a full figure. I didn't say anything, but there must have been an expression on my face because my partner stopped talking and she said, "Did you just see something?" I told her, "I swear someone just walked past the window here." We both looked inside the window, which was a bit hard because it was elevated. We couldn't see right into the room, but we could clearly see the room ended up just to the right of the window because that was outside of the wall of the house and there was a fireplace located there as well. If there was a person inside, they saw us. It was possible they could have dropped down to the floor and crawled out of the room. A few minutes later, a key arrived when we went inside to check the building. The floors were wooden, and we clearly made loud footsteps while we were walking around inside. Nothing was out of place. There was nobody hiding. As we were leaving, my partner told me that just before she asked me if I saw something, she felt goosebumps raise all over her arms and neck. I've been on the job over a decade and a half, and I've seen some wild stuff. This remains the crazy thing I've seen, and I have absolutely no explanation for it. Keep up the good work on your podcast, guys. There's not a lot of the same content out there, and I'm glad you guys are doing it. Take care, JD.
Wow, thanks, buddy. That's shadows walking across windows. We know that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's the sent me back there. You know, when I was reading this, seeing, it's hard to say unless you've seen this. Mm-hmm. But when you're seeing like a shadow walk, it's a person, and it's even harder to describe actually what it. You can't exactly explain what it looks like. Only people that have seen this kind of shadow person type thing really can picture it, because it's not just like a shadow. It's almost like the absence of light. It's hard. It's so hard to describe. But yeah,
it has a blacker than black quality.
Yeah,
like, but it still maintains that shape where it's like, and I'm assuming it's just like this in this story for him, where it's like he sees it. It looks to be a person, but there shouldn't be any people there.
Yeah.
So it's like that freaks you out, because I think it's the whole, yes, maybe it's a ghost, maybe it's a whatever, but like when you see something that's just not supposed to be there, that's when you get scared, right? Like it's always those weird juxtapositions that scare the shit out of you, right? Like, you know, like little kids giggling in the woods at the middle of the night. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, that's what gets you. So, and then the them checking the perimeter. These are professionals. They're police officers. They're trained for this, and they know that one window, from the inside is pushed out and it's elevated. So it's like, someone, how are they going to pry it out and pull it down? It's just, it's and then something like this, when it happens, just like I said, we were saying in the last one, kind of shakes your foundations, right? Because it's like, if you've never seen anything like this before, and then you see it, you question everything. Like, just to go back to Eastern State again, like we were just saying, like after we saw that night, like that was a weird card ride home with me and my brother. I was like, it was like, well, what does that mean? Like we saw that, what does that mean? See our Eastern State episode to know what we're talking about.
Episode 1. But oh man, I just and I always love like the first responders and then the police officer stories. It's just, because this is like mundane for them, right? They're always going places. They're like, always probably chasing teenagers out of abandoned places and shit. It's like, here again. All right. Yeah. And, just, you have to make split decisions on things. And also like, there's kind of like a, okay, I have to breathe, I have to be kind of calm in these kind of situations. Then something like that happens and you're like, wait a second, I can't cuff this thing, like tasers aren't working, like something. It's just, it's a perspective altering situation. And I really appreciate the story. Thanks for being a listener, JD. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. No, great stuff. And also, if you look at the last, that's the third story to feature a shotgun. First was the one with the dude with the sounds of the shotgun. Yeah. The other was the story with the alien with the shotgun. And this didn't say shotgun, but if there are two police officers in a patrol cruiser, it has a shotgun in it. Absolutely. I don't know why I picked that out. Hey, man, I picked it up earlier. I was like, hey, moral of the story, get a shotgun. Shotguns, yeah. With some special bullets if need be. Yeah, if need be. All right, so here we are. Last story of the evening. Comes to us from Eric. I know Eric somewhat well. He's a supporter of mine for a few years now, and wanted to read a story because I like this one. I think it's a good one to end on. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So as a teenager going into my junior and senior years of high school, my friends and I would constantly go out late at night exploring different places that were run down, abandoned, or supposedly haunted. Samesies. A few times we went into full ghost hunting mode, trying to get EVPs or any kind of sign that something or someone was around us. Samesies. I've always been a believer, even if I know most ghost hunting shows are full of crap, so I never expected anything to really happen while we were out. Eric, don't give that away. It breaks the illusion. Eric, stop! One night, a buddy of mine recommended a small graveyard that you have to walk out to and looks like something out of your typical found footage horror film with a handful of notable gravestones that are barely legible. Awesome. Yeah. Everything was pretty normal at first, with all of us looking around at different spots, not really having anything out of the ordinary happen, until my friend stopped in his tracks, not able to move, but only able to express that something was up. I was the closest person to him and told him to stop messing around and thought he was messing with us. That was until I put my hand on him and realized the area surrounding his body was completely cold to an insane degree. Almost a 40-degree temperature drop to the point that it was like walking into a walk-in freezer. The temperature would return to normal as soon as you moved your hand away from his body, basically as if he had some sort of force field, quote unquote, surrounding him.
I was quick to react and pulled out my phone to see if I could capture any sounds or a voice if possible and started asking questions. The cold spot only permeated for about 5 minutes before he was finally able to move away, genuinely freaked out by the whole experience. Of course, being the jerk that I am, good company, I decided to try and antagonize a spirit if there was something around yelling, "Is that seriously all you got? Come on." which got everyone else pretty annoyed, and they decided we were going to leave. You wanted us.
Yeah, I was going to say, all right, Zach. Zach, stop.
Fucking Zach. Eric knows what's up here. We checked the voice note I recorded while he was frozen in place from the car, and I picked up what sounded like an exasperated, annoyed sigh, as if whatever it was more annoyed that someone was coming into their resting place and bothering them. My buddy was too freaked out to ever go back there after this, but it was still cool to have what was probably just an annoyed resting spirit try and make contact. Another quick one, real fast, that is probably more interesting than spooky, but I wanted to share. As a kid, I went to a small church in a pretty small and boring town all the way through Sunday to youth group until I was 17, 18. When I was about 16, the church was going through a remodeling phase. Uh-oh.
We all know what that means.
During the remodeling of the church, while updating the basement, something weird was found. There was a sealed, old-looking doorway behind the steps that you would go down to get into the basement area. Oh, boy. Altar boy skeletons. You'd think this wouldn't be unusual, but from what I saw back then, this door looked old as hell to once again the way you'd find the start of a small budget horror film level door. I'd never really felt uncomfortable in that church before this point, but while this was happening, we had a sleepover in the remodeled part of the basement where we would do our youth group stuff, and I had one of the creepiest, most vivid dreams of my life where I was running through a hallway of a school after a child who said they needed my help. When I caught up to the kid who looked like a weird mix of Damien from The Omen and a very young Angus Young.
Okay.
So did he have like the little shorts and the hat and everything? Just said one sentence to me: "I'm worried about the stranger." And I woke up in a cold sweat, wondering just what the hell that meant. Ugh. So sadly, they decided not to open the mysterious door in the basement. What? Eric, you got to let me know if this was ever open. I will. I think he's up in Massachusetts. I will drive to this place and open myself. So
screaming the whole way.
So sadly, they decided not to open the mysterious door in the basement. So either these people didn't have curiosity or didn't want to open the Pandora's box type of situation with whatever was behind that doorway. But to this day, I still obsess over just what the heck could have been there and just what was going on in that town years before the church was built. Thanks for reading, guys. Hope these weren't too boring for the show. Keep being awesome. Thanks, Eric. No, not boring at all. Okay, so behind that door slumbered an ancient evil. Yes. That I think it's time. We might as well just let it out. What the fuck else?
Yeah. Or maybe someone finally opened it, and that was last year. You know. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep. That
and also,
could be it.
Eric, we have no choice but to keep being awesome. It's a burden. We were born with it. You know, we're gonna have to just keep on dealing with it, man.
Fuck you, Ken.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
It is fine. It is. Maybe that could be a t-shirt.
Yeah. And it's Jay quote, "It's fine." And it's just like a picture of me like saying something.
Is it though? It's fine. Sounds like fuck you.
Because that's what it means. At this point, when Jay does the "it's fine," that is a fuck you to me after I just said something. That's what it is.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah.
No, great stuff, Eric. I like the cold spot thing. That's super creepy, and walking around those old graveyards. That's just What is there? Is there anything better than doing that? I hope it was in the fall too, because that's just would have just Or there's the summertime ones where you got all the crickets and the tree frogs going, and it's just got that whole summertime teenage just getting into some mischief, looking for ghosts.
Fuck yeah.
And then man, that door And I don't know why, but that door is probably red. In my imagination, when I was reading the story, I said red door, black handle.
They're always.
My God.
Like the remake of Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds. That's right. I'm getting like shades of that, you know.
Yeah, catch him and kill him. It's like, that's not, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Catch him and have your shirt off for the entire movie.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. I remember I was watching that with a girl. And I was just like, can Ryan Reynolds put his shirt on? Goddamn.
Dude, that's every dude who watches, especially if you're a girl. You give it like the De Niro face, and you're like, this fucking shirt's still fucking off.
This shirt?
Yeah. And like De Niro from Jackie Brown face, like the whole time, just like the you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Where he's chill until he isn't.
Yeah.
Wait, that's De Niro all the time. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, for real.
So so we're we're here. This is another episode that we're recording via Zoom because we're both busy dudes.
Busy dudes.
Busy dudes. But we're gonna be back in the studio together with each other in June. Yeah. And it's we're gonna have a good time. So
hey man, I'm having a good time now still.
Me
too.
Still
fun. These are still
fun. No, I'm having a great time. It's good stuff. You have anything for the folks besides closing statements? You got anything cute little tidbits? You got any
cute little
shocking revelations?
Revelations. No, man, I think we've been sharing pretty well of what's been going on. I mean, things actually around here have calmed down. Like we haven't had any weird stuff when we first moved in. Things were going crazy around here, and it's all kind of calm. I think we've gotten to the point of settling, in our new space, and we've vibed out hard, So yeah, things are calm, and things are going good. And I'm I gotta say, thank everyone that submitted the stories. Like seriously, like just reading like
more.
Oh yeah, we still got more too. But the ones that we've read so far, it's like it's humbling, and it's really cool to like, I don't know, just hear from people like, two from Canada, people from, this and that, like to have people just be like, hey man, we like what you're doing. And it's like, hey man, it is validating, but it's also just like, it's motivating. Cause like, we love talking about this stuff. We're going to keep talking about this stuff. It's like a side passion of ours that we live with. And it's great that there are other people out there that are in the same boat,
Yeah. And I think I still have 38 more stories from my cousin Laura. So don't worry, Laura. We're going to read more of your stories. Don't forget about you.
They'll get in there, Laura. But and my favorite thing from a lot of these is too, people are like, I consider myself an ultra skeptic.
Yeah.
And there's not enough of that with people that are into the paranormal. Like there's a concept out there that like, if you're a skeptic, you can't be interested or into the paranormal.
Dude,
like,
I consider myself a super skeptic.
Absolutely. And that's like, that's the point I'm making, is that like, I'm in all these groups in different social medias, and like everyone's always putting up a picture and they're like, do you see what I'm seeing? You're like, I don't want to give too much away. And you're like, well, there's nothing there. And then like people are like, what? And they go, this right here. And you're like, bro, that's like your mirror. Like, what are you talking about?
They're all awful. Like, I mean, and people just, we talked about this a million times. I want to believe, right? So if you're just looking for the shit, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hard because, we share videos back and forth all the time. It's like, oh, what do you think of this one? What is it? 98% of the time, bullshit.
Yeah. You're like, nah. And like even the ones that make the news, like we were talking about the one, the latest Gettysburg one with like, you're like, no, dude, that's like a smudge on the windshield. You could tell.
Yes.
When the you're like, come on. And like fucking news outlets are like, ghost in Gettysburg. Oh, like,
oh my god,
gosh. Fucking no, it's a smudge on your windshield. You could tell when the camera moves, it moves. In correlation.
And I got excited for that video too. I was like,
Yeah, because it's like Gettysburg, because our favorite, well, one of our favorite, like top 5 is the Gettysburg footage, and
sure.
And I like that a lot of our listeners are skeptics and in the same boat as us with where it's, look, like we always say, 99% of this stuff isn't, real. It's not, it's not real. It's bullshit. And like people are just looking for, a tag, a label. They want to make something out of nothing. And it's like, dude, if it's real, there's probably not proof, like
right. But the ones that are always like, quote unquote real are the ones that stick around for a long time,
Yeah.
And even the ones that stick around for a long time, there's still a few, there's always wiggle room in those. It's like, no, it's like, 'cause some are like, oh, this is what, it's like, I don't know, because you remember, might be dating myself here, but back in the early 90s, remember when like rods were a thing that people were picking them up in their VHS recordings? Yes. And people are like, what are these alien creatures being captured in home videos?
I remember it was
Tim White broke that case wide open.
Yeah, but then it made a resurgence when Ghost Hunters, the original one, came on Sci-Fi in that block. It was Ghost Hunters, then it was Proof Positive, and then it was Scare Tactics. And Proof Positive had a big thing about rods, and like it was like, in this mountain range, what is this thing, these things? It's like, yo, it's a bug. The frame rate on the camera sucks because it's early 2000s. It's a fucking bug. That's what it does. And like you go to like Paranormal Caught on Tape right now, you'll get a gem every once in a while. They'll play the Gettysburg footage once in a while. But the people that are like analyzing these, the footage on this stuff, it's always just like like they're like, this one kind of chilled me, like, and you're like, shut the fuck up.
Like there's a couple dudes on that show that kind of rubbed me the wrong fucking way. I'm not gonna,
there's plenty of people on that show.
There's actually two in particular, but I don't.
The one guy that wanted to eat Byberry before it closed, that guy that's like, this is.
Oh, what's
this? Could be.
I think it's Brian Kano. I think his name.
I think that's what his name is. Yeah. And then I get upset at the two founders of Weird New Jersey because I love their publication.
Well, they're just there they're there as the two elder statesmen. They're there to just hold up some of the material. Like, this is horseshit, but we're gonna, by golly, we're gonna make sure it looks all right.
Yeah, and then, but that's what they all are doing on the show.
I know. And then you got the dude from last podcast on the left, fucking Kissel, and he's just there to have a good fucking time. He's
the guy from Monsters and what is it? The
Monsters Among Us.
Yeah, him too. Yeah, it's like I pray that there's a day like maybe me and you could like do our cut, like just do it ourselves and make a cut of like how we're explaining this and like even like keep in the host, because the host doesn't bother me. He's paid to do a job and explain this shit. But like we'll leave him in and then we'll just cut to me and you like, all right, so what I'm seeing right here is there's wind. You can see back there. The wheelchair's
so what I'm moving here is nothing.
Those are Christmas lights in the woods. And I know there's no power source out there, but they make battery-powered Christmas lights. So that's what you're seeing right here,
It's the dude's camera light reflected in the window panes.
Yeah. Oh, man, there was this one where this guy called himself, like, Al Capone. They're like, Al Capone dares himself to stay in this house. He's like, yeah, we call it the Blair Witch House. Oh, it's been there for, like, for, like, 45 years, man. Like, I'm Al Capone, some white kid, some fucking blonde white kid, He's like, I was in there, I was scared, yo. Like, it was, like, scary. You're like, fuck you, Al Capone, and your bullshit.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's been a long time coming, but I think we need to have, like, a little bit of a hate episode for our favorite YouTube videos. And by favorite, I mean not favorite.
Yes, that sounds good to me.
Some of these exploring guys.
Yeah.
Dude, I found $10,000 in this abandoned hospital. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. And those are $100 bills. Let me see the rest of that stack. Those are all singles.
Yeah. Monopoly money. What do you got? 100 wraps of Monopoly money?
Yeah.
Betting for what is it? Making bets of money that you don't even have in my own house. Kingpin reference. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone again for the submissions, and it's good to have like-minded people really out there with us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun time to talk about this nonsense.
Yeah, it's fun that I get to bullshit with one of my best friends about stuff that we're really interested in, and people enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah, no, because you're literally listening to, if we hung out, this is what you would be hearing.
Yeah. Lots more curse words.
Yeah, there it is. Fucking dude.
Yeah, fucking dude. Enjoy the watered down hangs with Ken and Jay.
Yeah, it's all good. Watered down hang. Maybe if we do like a late night or the late show version of this, and then we can't do that.
Other Danger Podcast After Dark.
Yeah, seriously. And like the After Dark is like one of those like old like neon fucking signs comes on After Dark.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be like those deli chips. You know what I'm talking about.
Anything on your end? Any new updates? Any voices in the closet?
No voices in the closet, and it's an attic. Show some respect. No, but we're about to get a whole lot of painting done here, and the thing that usually stirs this shit up is when we start moving shit around.
Nice.
So yeah. So I will report back if there's anything. Haven't heard anything in a while. That last time that I said something happened was the last time that I heard anything. So, but anytime we move anything around and there's a lot of stuff going on, or there's things, whatever moving around here, it kind of stirs it up. Or if we have a party, like if we have a party here, which we usually have some summer parties quite a bit, because one of my youngest daughter, her birthday's in the summer, and then it just be like that. You
just be like that sometimes. Yeah.
So lots of barbecues.
I still have that one from the one party you had, that one day from your office, man.
We have now every time we have a party, somebody hears or sees something every time we have a party. Yeah. So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. And now that all the mandates are lifting and everything, it looks pretty good that we're getting haunted houses back this year, man. Oh man, I hope so. Like, please don't tease me. I want haunted houses. I want the new Ghostbusters movie. I want so many things for this fall. Yep. It's I'm turning 40 this year. Please make this a big birthday present just for me.
I'll tell you what, buddy. It's looking that way. It really is, and I couldn't be happier. I don't have to wear masks at work anymore. You guys are a little bit different for me because I'm in New Jersey, and they're really, they're not letting it go. They're like, no. It's all right. We'll get there, buddy. And anyway, if they don't do it there, you'll come up here. We'll go to some Bucks County haunted houses. Man.
It's true. It's true. I'm moving out of the state in the next couple of years anyway. So yeah. So,
any closing statements? Last things.
Closing statements, shotguns, and what's behind that door?
Yeah. Nice.
We got to get shotguns and go find out what's behind that door. That's my closing statement. There you go.
I think I have us covered on that end.
Seriously,
step one done. Now we just got to go find the door.
Wait, so there's this door at a church that's been locked for fucking centuries, and we don't know what's going to be behind there? Yeah, we should have fucking shotguns. But and I guess my closing statements would be, until that night, that night,
and then that night in a world,
pretty much,
yeah. So I guess that wraps this one up, guys. Once again, thanks for the submissions. We're loving it. Keep them coming. We're these episodes aren't going to stop. We're going to be peppering them in along as we go. More Other Dangerous podcasts on the way. And I guess for this episode of Other Dangerous Podcast, I'm Ken James.
And I'm Jason McKittrick.
And as always, have a spooky evening. Thank you for listening to Other Dangerous Podcasts. Have you encountered the other dangers? If so, you can email us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a discussion about the paranormal, you can find us at Other Dangerous Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. There you can find submitted pictures, videos, and artwork from listeners. We are now streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are streamed. And after listening, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the other dangers.